Welcome to the Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love, one founded on faith, family, freedom, and fun. I'm your host, Julie Ross, creator of the award-winning homeschool curriculum, A Gentle Feast, and a certified Christian life coach. For more information on today's episode and to access my free gift for you, check out thefeastlife.me. Charlotte Mason once said, "Life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time." So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. Girl, grab your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You are welcome at this table. Hello, welcome to the Feast Life. Have you ever felt the pull to start something new, a business or a creative pursuit, but held back thinking you had to choose between homeschooling and following your dreams? Today's episode will challenge that mindset and inspire you to take bold steps. I'm thrilled to welcome to the show Leah McHenry, a homeschool mom of 5, entrepreneur and musician, who built multiple successful businesses, all while homeschooling. She shares how she went from a high school dropout to running a 7-figure company, all without sacrificing the things that matter most. If you've ever wondered if you can do both, homeschool and pursue your passions, then this episode is for you. Leah McHenry has been married for 20 years. She has 5 kids, and she's been homeschooling for 18 years. She has 6 studio albums and 4 businesses that have generated multiple 6, 7, and 8 figures. And Leah wants to show other moms what's possible and give them tools to succeed in business and life. Let's dive in to today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Feast Life. I'm your host, Julie Ross, and I'm here today with Leah McHenry. And I've been trying to get you on my podcast for months now, and I'm so excited we're actually able to make this work. We had a little tech glitch, but we worked through it because that's part of running a business and homeschooling, right? You just learn to go with the flow with things. But I'm so excited to have you on today. I really admire the work that you're doing and the business that you're building and the message that you have for women entrepreneurs, especially homeschool moms. So I think my audience is really going to love this conversation. So thank you for coming on.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. So can we dive in a little bit back at the beginning? I know you were, you had a musical career, you had an amazing candle business, you coach entrepreneurs now. And I'm sure there's other things that I've missed along the way of amazingness that you have built. But when you were first getting started, did you have your career and then you chose to homeschool, or were you homeschooling and then started building your businesses in the midst of that?
Yeah, I think I did everything absolutely backwards compared to how the world does it, or just your average person. So I come from a background of both parents divorced, remarried multiple times, like a lot of like instability and just not knowing what's going on. And I ended up being a super lost teenager, like super lost. I call my teen years disaster teen years. There was like anything that could go wrong went wrong. And I think the other thing too is when you go through that kind of thing, you have all this pain inside of you and you don't know what to do with it. And so people who have like high potential and have a lot of drive and ambition. I wanted to be a singer, and nowhere for any of that to go because of the upheaval of life going on in the background. I just got into trouble. And so by the time I met my husband, I was so over all of that. I don't want drama. I don't want this mess. Like I need to clean my life up. I've been a Christian my whole life, but those teen years, you're just not living your faith at all, even though I wanted to. But by the time I met my husband, I was like, I want to settle down. I want stability. I want all of the things that I didn't have. And I don't even think I was that conscious of it at the time, but those are the choices that I made. And so we got married. I was 20 years old, 20, and we just settled down right away and had a family. And I had barely graduated high school. In fact, I was a high school dropout, and I just completely dropped out of high school altogether, and then decided maybe I'll go back and because I feel like a loser right now. And when I was like 18 or 19 and I got my here in Canada, the GED or whatever equivalent.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I got married and stuff. No outside education, never went to college, really didn't know what I was going to do with myself. But I did feel like I wanted to do something. I just didn't know what. In terms of, did I have a career first? Absolutely not. I was lost, dazed, and confused, probably would be the best way to describe it. We got married, ended up having a family right away. That was great, actually. Like, I love that we started a family early on. So it was like our 1 year anniversary, our first year anniversary, we had, oh, I was 9 months pregnant. So I was about to, so I
Yeah.
gave birth in the same year, month that we got married. It was quick. And then started having kids right away. So it was like not back to back, but every year and a half to 2 years, we were
Yeah.
having another one. Everything that I did since then was in the midst of all of that, of having
Wow.
babies. Like, I recorded all my albums. So I've done 6 now, and I recorded all of them except the last 2, between whether I was pregnant, nursing, post birth, at all of that. So I just was, yeah. So it was, and what drove me to do that, it was just the desire to, I was always wanted to be a singer, and I thought, I have to get my creative art in the world. I really don't know if anyone's going to listen to it though. And I really don't know if I'll be able to do, what can I actually accomplish at this season of my life.
Yeah.
So I felt like the world's most uncool rock star in the planet. Like, 9 months pregnant in the studio. I'm like, oh, I can hardly hit those high notes. Like, my diaphragm is so squeezed right now. Anyway, yeah, it was quite something.
That is wild.
Yeah, to answer your question, it was all like the backwards way. Like, I built everything after I had kids. So actually, I hope that gives people hope too, because
Yeah.
there's never a perfect time, ever. There's
Right.
never a good time to get married. There's never a good time to have kids. There's never a good time to start a business. It's never a good time. Just pick a time. Just do it. Yeah.
Wow. That is so inspirational. Like, and to get those creative juices flowing and to allow yourself to do that. I think that's the key. It's like a lot of times people have that drive, they have that creative impulse and this thing and this gift that they want to give to the world, but it's also, I can't do both, so I have to choose one or the other. Did you go with that at all?
No,
No,
I
you're
just
good.
didn't think about it, really. I think people spend too much time thinking about, oh,
Yes, that's true.
I have to choose. No, you don't have to choose. You just do what you can with where you're at right now. And depending on how important something is to you, you're going to make more time for it. And so that was just it. It's always about priorities, right?
Yeah.
Someone says, I've heard this before. If someone says family is a priority, show me your calendar and let's prove it. Because whatever you're filling your time with, whether you formally put it in a calendar or not, that is the evidence of what is truly the priority at the time. So for me, that was what I did. I used to joke and say other people like make scrapbooks for a hobby. I make
Hmm.
albums. I build businesses. So I'm just spending my time a little bit different than how other people
Yeah.
spend it, truly.
Yeah. Now, did you always homeschool or was that something that came later or how did that all fit into that rock star life?
No, so from day one, I've done it all. Personally, I've done private school most of my life. My dad was the principal, actually,
Oh,
for
wow.
many years. Yeah. Went to public school for a short period of time and also did some homeschooling. So I've done it all, but I really, it wasn't so much that informed my choices as it was very intentional. I want to raise my children. If I want a different outcome than what I had for my family, we're going to have to be super intentional. We can't do anything by accident. We can't do anything because it's convenient. What we need to do is design the life that we want to lead, and
Mm,
the appropriate sacrifices will need to be made. I knew right from the outset, it was way back in the day. Some people listening might have seen this, but it was back in 2003 or something. I watched that Vodi Bakum Children of Caesar talk. I don't know if everybody's seen it. It's on YouTube. You can look it up.
okay.
That I heard that was like, oh my gosh. And it was that line that if you send your children to Caesar,
Mm,
don't be surprised when they come home as Romans. And I was like,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I ended up becoming a Roman and I didn't even want that. And just
Yeah.
from by way of kids learn through osmosis. So it doesn't matter how good the curriculum is, even. If the
Right.
osmosis, the environment is godless, if the environment is humanistic and atheistic and all those other things, it doesn't matter what you're telling them for the hour that you see them in the evening. It's the rest
Hmm.
of the time they're spending. That's actually the discipleship program that they're in.
Yeah.
And so that was a huge wake up call for me. So from day one, that's what I've done. So I have had to navigate building career, business, all these things. And I've always homeschooled on all my 5 kids. And pregnancy was a struggle for me. It wasn't easy. Health struggles, you name it, I've had to deal with it. So that's why I hope anybody who hears my story that they get encouraged, because I'm just like, I've been through this. What's your excuse? Because I feel like everybody, they think their excuse is special, but it's not. It's just a
Right.
matter of, no, what's important? What do you really want? And then not
Mm.
letting anything get in the way.
Yeah, I love what you said about designing the life that you want, like being intentional with that from the get-go and not just, yeah, this is what we're doing. And we fall into these routines and these habits. And then we're like, wait, how did I get here? And so when
Yeah.
you were designing this life and you were thinking about, okay, I want to homeschool what, and I want to also do these other things with my creative pursuits. What did you want both of those to look like? And is that kind of what it is now, or has that changed? How has that gone in your journey?
In terms of how am I spending my time now, or what do you?
Just of, I want our homeschool to look like this, or I want our family to look like this. And how have you created that in the life that you've lived the past several years?
Yeah, it was shockingly simple. We sit down multiple times a year, definitely at the beginning of a year or the end of a year. So when everyone's making New Year's resolutions, we don't really make resolutions. It's more, let's revisit the plan. What's the plan? What do we
Mm,
want out of this year, Lord willing, right? And what are the goals? What are we trying to accomplish? And then how can we make that happen? And with the kids' school, because of that, now they're a lot older. My youngest is 10. It life just isn't in a it's in a different phase, we'll put it that way.
oh,
but
yeah.
but I still think this applies. And what I started doing, I for me, listen, I would not call myself like a type A person, but there's something about just getting organized. If all you can do is just try to get a little organized with your ideas and then like
Mm,
milestones with those things. So, for example, with the kids' school, we meet quarterly and we go over, what did we say you guys were going to do? Did we do it? Did something need to adjust or change? So we run it like our business, like where we have
yeah.
quarterly meetings, an annual planning meeting, and quarterly planning meetings. I run it the same. I didn't
Mm,
know back then that I was like, this is why I say I actually think that homeschoolers, especially homeschool moms, the organized ones, they have like CEO DNA.
I
Like,
100% agree with that.
yeah, they actually have the characteristics that I believe can make up a truly powerful, successful business,
Mm,
because just the fact that they're so good at, you have to zoom out and look at the big picture, and then you can
yeah.
zoom in all the way to the granular detail level, like that math problem that we're figuring out right now. But first, we have to zoom out and look at the big picture. What are we trying to accomplish in education? What's actually the objective here with education? Because
100%, yes.
so like that question alone is
Hmm.
CEO material, because people just think you put your kids in school and then they get educated so they can graduate. Yeah, but why do we care about that? What's
Yeah.
important about graduation? Right? Why is that important? Is that actually important to today's society, or was that more of a
Hmm.
framework that worked 50 years ago because it ensured job security so that you could get retirement, so that you could,
Yes, absolutely.
there was a train of thought behind that back then. But does that serve us today? And so I feel like a lot of homeschool
Mm,
moms, they're able to deconstruct that a little bit, and let's
yeah,
take that apart and actually examine what is actually truly important. And so for me, I think those were my training wheels for business, believe it or not.
I love that. No, I think that's great because I think sometimes we think, oh, I'm just a homeschool mom, so I don't have any skills. I'm not, like, I can never do that. And I think I 100% agree with you. Like the ability to wrangle, I have 5 kids too, wrangle 5 kids together and plan out their thing, but also ask those deep questions and not be okay with the status quo is what makes a good entrepreneur, right? Because you have to be able to ask those deep questions and take risks, do all the things that as homeschool moms were innately doing. So I love that. So in this journey, when did you start your other businesses along with the recording?
Yeah, so I launched my first album back in 2012, and that's when it really began for me, because I was like, I have this album now and I'm proud of it, and I need an audience. I have a product, but I have no audience. How do I get an
Mm,
audience? And so that led me down the rabbit hole of trying to learn, how can I get my product, which is my album, my music, in front of people who would actually like it. Not just in front of people, but the right people. How do I do that?
hmm.
Because it's not practical for me to jump on a tour bus right now. I just had baby number 3. I've got
Yeah.
50 extra pounds on my body. I'm just not, that's not practical. My husband works in construction. This isn't happening. I tried to study the music industry, and there's all these music gurus out there telling you to do this, that, and the other thing. And of course, touring is a big part of that equation. And so I got to a certain point where I was like, I'm not getting anywhere with this. I'd put my stuff out on YouTube, no views and all of this. And it really, the transformation happened for me when I stopped studying the music industry and I just started studying business and I started studying
Mm,
online marketing. And I was like, these other businesses, they're doing so well online. How can I do that?
yeah.
So I basically learned like audience building 101, marketing 101, copywriting 101, messaging 101, positioning 101, like all the basics, how to put together an offer, how to survey the few fans that I do have, hi mom, and find out what kind of products would they like. And then there's the other thing too, which is the X factor. And I always say this to artists and creatives that I work with, authors and whatnot too. The X factor is just as important in this, which is the talent part of it, right?
Mm,
So you could have the best marketing plan, business plan, you can have all of that stuff, but if the product isn't truly good, if the talent isn't actually there, then that's really not gonna, you're not gonna get too far. So the
right.
X
Yeah.
factor matters. And then when you go into business, you got to make a product that's actually good, that people love, that it solves a problem or a passion, something that's so good that they'll tell their friends, really. Yeah, so the music thing led me to studying marketing. And then I was able to build that audience and I was able to get to the six-figure mark like annually pretty quick after I did those things. And like it took a little time, a lot of trial and error, but I was able to do it. But I didn't actually pursue that until we were in a financial place where I needed to. I was like, people can look up and hear my story in other places as well. But we were on the brink of bankruptcy. Like we had been advised. And I was like, oh no, we're there, just something lit up in me. And I feel like a lot of women relate to this, where you're just like, you put your foot down, you're just
The
like,
mama bear comes out. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely
Not my
not.
family.
Over my dead body, not happening. Whatever I got to do. And you just like, make that decision. It's like a
Mm,
decision that's been made and it's not external. Like nothing external is going to get in my way. I'm going to find a way to make this happen. So that's when I was like, all I have in front of me right now is music. So that's what I did. And I did what I could with what I had at the time. So did that. And then shortly after that, and I had this success and I was like, maybe one of the streams of income I can include in this music business of mine is like a little ebook or something explaining what I just did. Because I know tons of musicians, they probably enjoy this too. So I launched an
yeah.
ebook. Yeah, nothing happened. Nobody bought it. And like it was a colossal fail. But then I realized what I had in the end was actually in this ebook, a wonderful framework for something bigger than that. And I ended up turning that framework into a full-blown course. And I ended up turning that course into a full-blown academy called Savvy Musician Academy. And that course, believe it or not, so I had some success with my music, but then when I launched that academy, that went to about $2.5 million in about a 12 to 14 month period, which was
Amazing. That
like,
is so incredible.
what? I was pinching myself for a year because I
Yeah.
didn't think it was real. I couldn't even comprehend that. So
That's incredible.
yeah, so that was that. When we did that for about 6, 7 years, Sad
Okay.
Musician Academy. And then I was getting the itch during the last couple of years to really because an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur through, like we're amazing at starting new things. But I
Yeah.
was getting the itch, yes, I was getting the itch to really pivot a lot more into e-commerce because actually when you're selling music online, it is e-commerce. So you're selling physical products and
Yep.
services and digital products as well. But I really wanted to just dig my, I don't know, like bite into something more tangible. So I was like, so it was also a challenge for myself. I said, okay, was that business a fluke? Did we just
Mhm.
accidentally have success with that? Like right place at the right time? Like what do I know what I think I know? And so I challenged myself to build another business, completely separate, unattached from that one, unattached from my music. And I ended up building a fantasy inspired candle company. So really niche. And that one also went to seven figures in 9 months and very similar trends as well. So I was like, okay, it's not a fluke. I think I might know a thing or two. And then by then, and I should mention that when I built Staff Musician Academy, after the first couple of months, my husband quit his job in construction and joined me, and we've been working together ever since. So now for the past 10 years. And then he's full blown in the candle company as well, Mythology Candles. And yeah, and then I do now, like we're full blown in that, still growing that business.
Okay.
And then I do some business coaching on the side because I love teaching. I love it. And it's like a part of me. And I'm like, if I'm not teaching, I feel like there's something missing. I do that. It just gives me absolute joy and pleasure to just distill this knowledge and the lessons, because we've learned a lot of hard lessons as well, to as many people as I can. I love helping kingdom oriented people who want to do something similar with their family.
Yeah.
That's basically the rundown of what's been happening in the last 10 years.
That is such an inspirational story. It's just, I feel that energy just listening to it. And I've heard it before on different things that you've done, but it's so incredible. And I love the fact that you were willing to take risks and you didn't have it all figured out before you started, because I think that's what holds a lot of people back is I have to have a roadmap. I have to make sure this is not going to fail. And that's not real learning either for
Yeah.
us or our kids, right? We have to try things, we have to fail, we have to learn, okay, what worked, what didn't work. And so you said you have to have a product so good that it sells itself.
Yeah.
What makes a product so good that it sells itself?
A product, sometimes you don't know that it is until you put something together and put it out there.
Yeah,
I don't think you can know that 100%
yeah.
until you test it. And this is the part where I find people have a whole like failure to launch mode,
Hmm.
is that they try to get it all perfect. Like it could be a very mediocre product, but through the market testing and through finding out that it flopped, it's a process of trial and error until you figure out, oh, this is the missing ingredient, or this is the angle, or this is the message, this is the one thing that would make people buy this over the other one. This is the whole thing, right? In a world where there's all these Me Too products, right? When I say that, I mean everybody has a course. Everybody has,
Yeah.
now the whole new thing is like beef tallow lotion, whatever. Like it's exploding, right? So then how do you stand out and how does the product sell itself? Number one, it has to, my rule of thumb is, number one, if we look at niche, because niche is important, it has to be a big enough audience that if you only captured 1% of it, it would still be a
Mhm.
multi-million-dollar business. So that helps and should be in a large category, but the product, or whether it's digital or physical, should, if you only seek to capture 1% of it, it's still millions of people. So it's got to be big. And
Yeah.
so when musicians tell me they're trying to niche down, because I talk about micro niches that are very powerful for standing out. But if you go so niche that it doesn't even make sense and nobody's looking for that, then that's not
Yeah.
going to help. But then the second thing is the whole differentiation, right? So the product that sells itself, if it's a physical product, you can do a lot of it very much through visuals, right? So a candle is very visual, and through our,
Yeah. I love your imagery for your candle company. It's beautiful.
thank you. Yeah. And part of what we do to help it sell itself is the immersive product photography, right?
Mhm.
So people can't pick up this candle right here and smell it. They have to try and smell it through the screen. How can
Mm.
we help them like get the right, and that's not even necessarily my area
Yeah.
of expertise. It's about getting the right people that can help with that sort of thing. If it's
Mm.
a digital product, like a course or something like that, it's got to be a really pressing issue or something maybe a little more controversial, something more line in the sand, where people are like, this person is clearly an authority on the topic and they can deliver the result I'm looking for. So there's a lot of different ways, depending on the industry, that helps that product stand out. And so physical products are a little more easy to talk about because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
can be very visual. But people, the way they present, if you sell courses or something, you have to stand out visually as well. And so that's where branding comes in. That's where aesthetics come in. And just like how you're building your personal brand, the overall messaging, it's not all aesthetics by any stretch, but all the content and all of those things put
Mhm.
together. Yeah.
I do love aesthetics, though. That's really important to me too.
For sure.
So you mentioned something really key there. You said something about getting help when you didn't know something. So I think we can get this like misinterpretation of, oh my goodness, they did all this by themselves. Look at them. I can never do this because I don't have the support. So what kind of support, like how were you able to be so successful? What kind of support? I know you said your husband was able to come home and build this with you, which is incredible. But was there other support or is it just being resourceful and finding the things that you need when you needed them?
Yeah, absolutely. So each business was different. I think digital businesses have never been easier today because you can literally hire an incredible VA overseas if you need to.
Hmm.
Like I have one that's been with me for 5 years and she's amazing. And getting help with graphics and things you're not good at, branding and stuff, it's never been more cost effective. It's never been more
Hmm.
accessible. Yeah, you got to know what you're good at and what you're not good at and outsource. And actually that's one of the biggest keys to scaling is being able to outsource
Yeah.
better because quite frankly there's a lot of people that can do things way better than I can. And a lot of this has to do with like speed of learning and speed, like getting it to the market quickly, testing quickly, failing quickly. And
Mm.
so if it's going to take me a month to do my own branding because I'm super slow and not very good at it, that's a waste of time. And there's opportunity cost at
Yeah.
play here. So, yeah, in the beginning, I do whatever I can do. And if I don't think it's good enough, I'll just like, there's Fiverr, there's Upwork, you just get like a one-off job, like people that help for that one task you need. Don't hire someone and like out of the gate on salary, for example. Yeah.
And I feel like all of those lessons apply so much to homeschooling too. Know what you're good at, know what your weaknesses are, outsource where you can, get help where you can. Did you apply those to both areas? And how do you feel like the business that you've been running has helped your homeschooling and vice versa?
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good point about doing the same thing. I felt like what I'm comfortable with homeschooling. Our kids have taken lots of courses online and have had lots of online teachers and that sort of thing. Yeah, it's very transferable now that you say it. I didn't think of it quite like that, but that's exactly, guys, what I did. But also, part of that is for people who have to unschool themselves at first when you've been through the school system and then you
Hmm.
start homeschooling, you have to unlearn some of these systems like, oh, this is necessary. We have to hit these outcomes and we
Hmm.
have to. That's a bit of a process too, because the whole what am I comfortable teaching may not actually, there's a better question to ask, which is what do they actually need versus
Hmm.
what do I actually think I'm capable of teaching or eligible to teach. Like, no,
Right.
if you're a parent, you're eligible. You can. But do we want extra support in areas? Absolutely. And so just knowing that, and the beauty of homeschooling is you can take it as a child by child scenario and custom and tailor and to whatever it is they need. And each child has different needs as well. Some might struggle in an area, and you get to decide, is that actually like a problem right now? Is that actually a problem we
I
need
love
to
that
solve?
question. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a question I ask in business all the time. This is one of the best things I've been learning to ask is what problem are we solving right now?
Mm.
And is it a problem? Do we need to solve it? And do we need to solve it right now?
Okay. Is it a problem? Do we need to solve it? And do we need to solve it right now? I feel
Yeah.
like that is a question homeschool moms need to ask themselves all the time, whether they're doing a business or not, just about
Yep.
mothering and homeschooling,
Yep.
because we think things are problems when they're not actually problems. Oftentimes, it's like our kids maybe resisting something that we're doing for school, or they're having big emotions, and it becomes this problem, and I have to solve it. I have to solve it right now because I'm the mom and I have to fix it. And it's
Yeah.
so much pressure and anxiety, and it's that might not actually be a problem. I love that. That's such a great question.
Exactly.
That is
Exactly.
a great point. And I love that your kids, I've seen them on Instagram doing some of this market testing that we were talking about. Can you talk a little bit about what kind of business they're starting and what they're doing? That's so fun.
Yeah, so it was like it started as a little bit of a school project, but also I'm trying to teach them skills as well. Because
Hmm.
I'm like, once you learn these skills,
Yeah.
you're not going to have to worry about money for the rest of your life because you'll be able to sell ice to an Eskimo. That's the idea here. Once you learn these skills, it's transferable to anything you ever do in the rest of your life. So I want you to learn it. And so yeah, they started a clean YA fantasy book box subscription. So think of a
Okay.
book box subscription. There's lots out there. And what they found was because we tried ordering a few just because they look so cute. YA fantasy, it's young adult, it's just a genre, which there's different genres within that genre. But a lot of them, like they're not from sources that we can trust. And some of these
Mm.
books were filled with garbage, and we ended up having a bonfire in the backyard. Um,
Yeah.
and but what was so fun for them was the experience of getting the box every quarter in the mail every month. And in that, you got the book and you got some trinkets and little
Yeah.
bookish items and things like that. And it was just a wonderful experience. And we're like, you guys, Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Because I think there's a gap in the market here.
Mm.
And that's actually a phrase that they'll talk about. They might say, guys, there's a gap in the market where no one is filling this need. And maybe we're the ones to do it. And so when I talk about products that sell themselves, that's one of the things I'm talking about. Is there a gap in the market? It's like, how
Mm.
come this hasn't been solved? Has anyone solved it? Let's research. I don't really see anything. And that could indicate one of two things. One, that there's no demand, or no one has solved it
Mm.
yet, and we'd be the first ones. Cha-ching. So they're on their second box now. They just released their spring box. And so what they do is they pre-vet the book. So they're appealing to teens, well, and parents of the teens,
Mm.
say like 13 to 18, but even adults are enjoying these books. And they're pre-vetted. So they spend at least 50 hours at a minimum pre-vetting books and making sure this is a right fit because parents don't
This
have the
is
time.
so genius. Every homeschool mom's listening to this is, oh, my kid is now motivated to read. I love it.
Yeah. Exactly. There's that, but also I was thinking because when they wanted to ask me, can I read this book? I'm like, that book is this thick. I do not have the time to sit for 25 hours and read that book or however long
Yeah.
it takes, or the series of the book. I don't have the time. And so we're like, if I'm having this problem, guaranteed other parents are having that problem, but we want to have this fun experience because we want to encourage them to read. So
Yeah.
they created, and it's called Lamppost Parcel, and that's what they're calling it. So Lamppost Parcel. And then, so they're curating the
That's so cool.
items. Yeah, and so the oldest four siblings. So it's
Okay.
my oldest son who's 18, and then the three girls that are 17, 16, 14, they're all doing this. Yeah.
That is so nice.
Um,
And are they doing all like the outsourcing and budgeting and all the other
all of it.
business that's
Yep. My
math
husband,
and all that stuff too?
all of
Cha-ching,
it.
check.
Yes, all the check and all the boxes. Yeah. So my husband, he set them up with a spreadsheet and yep. So so we go through teaching them cost of goods sold. And so like, here's all the costs of your items. You need to stay within this profit margins. So you're going to have to negotiate also with the vendors and see if they'll give you breaks. So they're learning like 1,000 things all at once by doing rather than just reading a book about it. And I think
Oh my
that
gosh.
that goes so much farther.
I love that. I love that so much. You talk a lot about legacy, and I think what you're talking about right now is just such a beautiful example of that. But what do you mean by that word, and why do you think it's important for especially homeschool parents to talk about and consider?
Which word?
Legacy?
Oh, legacy. Yeah. That one's a big, long, meaningful discussion for me, for sure. Legacy, I think it all stemmed from me when I started learning a little bit more about the hope of the gospel, the hope of what God has planned for this world, and that He's
Mm.
not done with us anytime soon, and that this world is worth fighting for, it's worth building, it's worth investing into the future. Some of this came out of my background where there was a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of talk of when like end times theology, like the doom
Mm.
and gloom stuff, the rapture and this basically we're on the Titanic right now and it's a sinking ship and we're losing this battle and Satan's going to rule the world and all of this. I'm telling you, the fruit that came from that in my life as a teen, like it was disastrous. That was one of the things that contributed to me just
Mm.
losing absolute hope and doing nothing with my life
Yeah.
because I thought the world was going to
Yeah.
hell in a handbasket.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
So when I just started learning, oh my goodness, there's some other views on this that are historical and wonderful. And if I just read the scripture, what it says, that the earth will be full of the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the seas, and the water covers all the seas, and things like that started giving me some hope. And then it started making me think more about the future and how legacy plays a part. Because if this world isn't worth fighting for, and we're losing a battle, oh sure, God comes back. Ultimately, Jesus comes back at the end of the world. But what was the point? But
Hmm.
we're not in a losing kingdom here. No, the gates of hell are going to withstand the attack of the church, not the other way around. When I corrected some of my misshapen views about this, it really started to bring up the topic of legacy for me. And what are we doing? What are we building? What are we called to build?
Hmm.
And so legacy for me is not just financial, is a byproduct. And so legacy is about heart transfer, right? So like God's heart transferring to his people, parents to
Hmm.
children and to grandchildren. And we have to have more of a building mindset than we've ever had. There's so many competing worldviews and billionaires out there that are doing really big shifting things. They're shaping the
Hmm.
future. And we need to be the leaders at the forefront of that. So legacy for me starts with worldview, and it starts with what are we building? And then secondly, what are we investing in? And then how are we training our children and truly transferring the heart of the Father to the children and carry on that legacy? And one way that I like to think of it is like when you go to Europe or anything, and you see these cathedrals that some of them took 500 years to build, some took 1,000 years, some aren't even
Yeah.
finished yet. And originally, when you go back and you look at the history of that, it's like someone at the very beginning had a vision. They had a vision for legacy, and they knew that would not finish in their lifetime. And they would have to pass the heart of their vision to a custodian, right? Someone who has to carry that on and continue building. So in their lifetime, they only got a part of the foundation built, and that was it, right? And they died and they never saw it completed, but they had people that were going to carry that on and continue building. And so they can die in peace knowing that project will finish one day. And so that's how I'm trying to see this. And for me, we're starting from scratch because here in the West, we've adopted this mentality of every man for himself. Like you start out, it's your life, you're starting from scratch, go make your way in the world. That's it. And so I just think that's a bit counterproductive when when you think of building the kingdom of God and you think of trying to accomplish something in this world, I just find that mentality is not so helpful. There may be instances where maybe that's needed for maybe certain kids need that. But as a whole, I just think that worldview is going to have a very specific outcome, and it has. And for example, my husband and I, we're starting out from scratch. In fact, we never learned how to manage money or finance. So we've had to do everything the hard way, every mistake under the sun, lost money, like everything you can think of that we've done wrong, we've done wrong. And because we are starting from ground zero. And what I think would be really amazing would be training our kids, not just in the skills, but in the heart of the skills, because everybody knows trust fund babies, right? People who grew up in a rich family, but they don't have the morals or the character. And they get this trust fund one day and then they spend it all and die miserably and they're all depressed and everything. Clearly, that legacy was ineffective. They did not have a heart transfer. And maybe when I say heart transfer, I mean this is a spiritual thing. They did not train them in legacy. They did not train them in a vision for the future beyond themselves. And so then it becomes like a one generation thing and it's over. So I'm trying to start to articulate this a little more for people because I think this is the zoom out part, right? The zoom in part is, okay, we're making dinner and what ingredients do I need for tomorrow, right? That's that zoom in and we're very good at that. And actually, I think women specifically are incredible at doing the zoom out and zoom in like multiple times a day. We can actually do that. Like we are wired for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And legacy, I know I brought up a lot of things like theology and all these different things, but they really do have an outcome. They really do have fruit at the end of it. And you got to look at the fruit. You'll know the tree by the fruit. And what kind of fruit has a particular ideology produced? And so I'm always looking at that. And so I'm just really inspired. Business is a vehicle. It's just a means to the end, but it also is a ministry in and of itself too, because if you think about it, no matter what you're doing, people spend a good almost 80% of their lives in the workforce, whether you are a business owner or you're an employee or your husband's employee or whatever, that is where the majority of people's lives are actually spent. So, yeah. So in and of itself, it is such a meaningful, you can call it a ministry for profit or a nonprofit, but it is a ministry in and of itself. And so is raising your kids. So is homeschooling. 100% that is a ministry. That's like the most important job. Everything I've done from home, I've never left my kids during this whole entire time. Like we have offices and stuff, but they're with us and they come with it. We just take them with us wherever we go or whatever we're doing. Yeah. I hope that explained the concept of legacy a little bit.
No, I love it. I love your passion for it. And I think it's something that especially as Christian parents, we need to consider what are we building? And I think sometimes we can look around and be like, my life doesn't look like theirs and their kids are doing XYZ and they just bought this, blah, blah, blah. And it's so easy to take our eyes off of the target that God is calling us to. But I love your passion for that. And I think we all need to consider what is the legacy that we are building? Do we want our lives to look like everybody else's? And if the answer is no, and we're saying that, are the actions we're taking every day actually accomplishing that legacy, accomplishing that vision, building that cathedral that you're talking about,
Yeah.
or we say that, but our actions tell a different story, and the life that we're living tells a different story. And I see that a lot too. No, so thank you so much for explaining. I think that's super important. So for the mom who's, hey, I have some ideas, I have some things that I've always wanted to try, I have these like creative juices flowing, but I have no idea where to even start. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I talk to hundreds of people every week actually about this very thing. I'm posting
Yeah.
about it all the time, mostly on Instagram. So I have some free resources and things like that. But ultimately, there's going to be a bit of a Venn diagram that I walk people through. I do have a masterclass about this if someone wants to watch it.
We can put it in the show notes, the link for that,
Yeah.
because it's
And
really good. I've watched it.
yeah, so the latest one is it's about the multi-passionate entrepreneur type. Did you see that one?
Oh no, I didn't see that one. I was talking about the
Okay,
other
so
one.
this is where I show the Venn diagram, right? So it's
Okay.
about for people who have a lot of ideas, a lot of passions, a lot of interests, and they could go, I could pick this or I could
Yeah.
pick that, and I don't know which one, and you get analysis paralysis. So where I narrow it down is number one. For me, the first thing is what are you actually passionate about that you wouldn't get sick of 2 weeks from now? So that's
Yes.
a good one. That's a good
That is
question.
important. Yes.
Yeah. And so for a lot, I know a lot of families, it's health related issues or something like that. A
Mhm.
problem they had to solve for their child was, and then through that process, they got so educated, they realized there's a gap in the market because they couldn't find the products they needed. So they end up creating the thing. And so it's
Mhm.
very easy to go down and pick this rabbit trail. But so the first one is passion. The second one is purpose, and that is more of those legacy questions. Is this something, if you built it, that you could carry on for quite a while, or you might want to pass down to your kids if they felt passionate about it too, or that there's
I
some
love
kind
that.
of, yeah, legacy mission behind it, something a little
Mhm.
more like bigger, that zoom out part. And then the third P is profit. There needs to be a gap in the market, it needs to solve a pain. There needs to be some kind of a transformation or outcome that it can provide people, have some kind of differentiator. What would be different about your product than the other ones? Like why aren't those other ones good compared
Yeah.
to what you're thinking? So when you combine those three things, it's pretty easy. You can just like use that little exercise to narrow down the different ideas you have. And so you end up at least with a short list, and then you can like I have a way for people to test it very quickly and even make sales like without a website. That's actually what my kids did. So my kids followed
Mhm.
it. I have two workshops like in my program, and it's the product validation formula and the sales validation formula, and they just followed it. I'm like, I actually gave very little insight. I was like, just follow the thing, do the thing. So they
Yeah.
did it. And so their first box when they put out, they made 18 sales in a weekend with no website. No
That's awesome.
website. Yeah. And so they just follow it. And so it's an art and a science, but it's not cookie
Mhm.
cutter because there is no cookie cutter. You're not a cookie.
Yeah. So we don't need to cut you because you're not a cookie. Yeah. It's so beautiful.
No.
I think a lot of times too, it's the fear of starting out and failing, but it's also the fear of if I take time from this, it will take time away from my kids and my homeschool. Did you ever have that fear, and how did you work through that? Or is it just like you never had that and then you were just creating this beautiful life alongside both of them?
Yeah, no, I never had that fear and I never thought about it because we live such an integrated life that it was really not a thought. And I think people might think I'm a bad parent if I don't think about that question or if I don't mull over it
Mhm.
and agonize over that question. No, just do it the way you're doing everything else. You're researching essential oils while you're sitting beside your kid at the table while you just do market testing. You're just changing what it is you're doing. That doesn't make you, this doesn't have to be a problem.
And is it a
Yeah,
problem? Do I need to solve it? Do I need to solve it now? I'm going to put that in the show notes. I love that so much. That is such great
exactly.
wisdom. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. How can people find you and your resources? I mentioned Instagram because that's where I follow you a lot.
Yeah, I'm mostly on Instagram. I'm on
Okay.
Facebook as well. It's Leah McHenry on Instagram. It's at real Leah McHenry, and because really me. And yeah, and then just go from there. I have a podcast as well. It's new. And I'll tell you,
Oh, that's
like yours is
exciting.
really pretty and really nice. Mine is like really bad audio while my husband and I go for walks and go for
That's
hikes
so
because
cool.
yeah, because I'm all about the lowest hanging fruit. Do the thing you're supposed to
Yes.
do. If it's messy, it doesn't matter as long as you're doing it. Yeah, so they can, it's the Legacy Launch podcast. So where we
Yeah.
talk about these topics, the exact topics that pretty much you and I are talking about. So
That's so
yeah.
cool because it's like a conversation. Now, if you could see the rest of the room, see, it looks really cute right here, but the rest of the room doesn't look like this. But again, it's start messy. I love that. Like you just got to do it.
Absolutely.
Put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
That's okay. All right. So while we wrap up, can you just give some final words of encouragements to the folks who are listening today?
Absolutely. Yeah, I just want to encourage everyone to do a lot with a little that God's given you. And one of my favorite things I love to talk about is that story of the parable of the talents and the story of the parable. So you can go read it. But it's the master gave the servants a little bit more and another servant more. Like it was like 1 mina 3 and 5 or whatever, and or talents in that
Yeah.
version. And when his expectation is that when he returned, there would be an ROI. So there would be at least interest at the very least. And the one who had the most talents, I think he doubled it. And same with the guy who had the medium amount. And then the one who had the least amount buried his talent because he was just afraid to lose it. And he was condemned in the most harshest of ways. It was actually wild how harsh he got condemned. What I take away from that, when you read that in detail, I get so much out of that. And this is what I would encourage people. Number one, if you feel that you haven't been given very much, it's very clear. It says each was given according to his ability. So if you want to be entrusted with more, you must increase your ability. And the good thing is that you can increase your ability. He's actually given us the power, the ability to do that. Increase your skill set, increase the way you're stewarding what you have. He's watching that. So I was encouraged, whatever I have, the way I manage my home, my time, my kids, all of that, he expects an ROI on that. And that story was actually very specifically financial, but I take that to all of life. Like we're to give a return on investment for everything God's given us, right? So there's a part of gratitude in knowing everything is a gift. And how can I increase what he's given me? So that's the note I'd love to leave people off, because that one really makes you think and makes me examine my life every single day. How can I give him an increase? So yeah.
Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. This has encouraged me tremendously, so I know it will encourage our listeners as well. So thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And I will put all those fun links in the show notes. And I want to check out your kids' subscription box. That's really cool. So thanks again for coming on. Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways. Number one, there's never a perfect time to start. Waiting for the right moment will keep you stuck. Leah shared how she built her business in the midst of homeschooling, pregnancy, and multiple life challenges. Number two, homeschool moms definitely have CEO potential. The skills you use to manage your homeschool, like big picture planning, problem solving, and adaptability, are the same skills that you need to run a successful business. Number three, overcome fear by taking action. You don't need all the answers before you start. The key is testing, learning, and adjusting as you go. Number four, integrate, don't separate. Your homeschool and your business can work together, not against each other. Leah shared how she includes her kids in the entrepreneurial journey, giving them hands-on business experience. And number five, build with the legacy in mind. Whether you're just starting homeschooling or you're just starting a new business, think long term. What are you creating that will impact future generations? This episode was packed with wisdom, encouragement, and real-life strategies to help you confidently step into the work you feel called to do without sacrificing your homeschool. So I'm curious, have you ever dreamed of starting your own business? DM me on Instagram if you listen to this episode and let me know. Thanks for listening. Hey there, Julie Ross here. I just wanted to say thank you for listening to today's episode. If you like this show, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a positive review in iTunes. This really does help people learn about the podcast. And each month I will pick a winner to receive a free gift. Don't forget to check out all the free resources we created for you at thefeastlife.me. Thank you.